Hello and welcome back to the Cfctalk podcast. Well, there is 6 weeks of no club football and no more of Chelsea right now is all I can ask for. Honestly, been a tough few weeks for Chelsea FC and Chelsea fans, but it is what it is. 6 weeks of breaks. Hopefully, we'll discuss a lot more of that in a few weeks' time when the World Cup is over. But for now, predicting what the World Cup is going to look like is our main aim for today. Honestly, very excited for the World Cup. I know a lot of people have their concerns for this World Cup, but I am ready for it. And there's going to be so much to talk about. So we'll go group by group and then we'll share one by one what I think of each group and who is going to qualify. And yeah, let us know what your predictions are in the comments below as well. I'd love to know them. And make sure to leave a like rating, subscribe to the video, subscribe to those watching or those listening on an audio platform. I would recommend watch this one on YouTube because it's got a video, so it'll make sense it'll make more of a sense than watching it on an audio platform. But you're more than welcome to watch it wherever you want because supporting us, honestly means quite a lot. The support that you guys have been giving us on all of our social media pages, and along with that, make sure to follow all of our social media pages on Instagram, Twitter. World Cup, we're covering every single game. We're going to be trying to make sure that we post for every single game and cover each and every single day of the World Cup heading into the postseason, if you want to call it, when Chelsea start playing again as well. So without further ado, let's begin talking about the World Cup, and it's going to be a tricky one. There are some teams missing. Italy, the obvious one that I think a lot of people guessed and hoped that they would be there, but they're not there. So it'll be very interesting to see how a lot of teams cope with that. But straight heading into Group A, I think But straight heading into Group A, I think honestly, Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and Netherlands. I'm just gonna have to go off the bat and say Netherlands are gonna top the group. And honestly, they've been very lucky in terms of the group that they've gotten and the people or the teams they've got in that group. They've got a good form under Louis van Gaal, so I feel like Group A. Netherlands do have to top that, and if they don't, it'll be a bit of a disappointment. I feel like they should be able to top that. Even though Sadio Mane is out of the World Cup, I still believe Senegal can make it. Koulibaly's there, Mendy's there, a few other good players as well alongside there. They've got a good squad. They were the African champions as well, so I think they've got a good chance of coming in second. And I think a lot of people know South Africa. When they hosted the World Cup, they were the worst team, but I feel like Qatar might one up them and not get a single point this whole World Cup. But yeah, that's me for Group A. I think overall, in terms of that, and not a lot to talk about in this group, honestly. If I'm being very honest, because I feel like it's a clear cut Senegal and Netherlands to qualify. Maybe Ecuador can cause an upset by drawing against Netherlands or a win against Senegal, but I think at the end of the day, they'll manage and they should go through. Even though Ecuador seem like a good team as well, and they could do some damage into the either the two top teams that are there that I feel like might be in there. But this is the one that a lot of fans are going to be excited about. It's not a very tough group. So a lot of English fans complaining that they've got a tough group. I just feel like it's it's not very tough. It should be a group England can top, and I feel like Iran might be dark horses for this group. They're very good in Asia. They've been really good. They've got a good record as well. But on the world stage, they haven't had a lot of chances, so the pressure might get to them. But other than that, it's going to be confusing to think about who might come second in this group because Wales with Gareth Bale and it being his last World Cup or his last kind of appearance for Wales, he might want to give everything he can. I think Ampadu's going to be there as well, if I'm not wrong. So Wales have an interesting shout, but I feel like USA are more of a well-rounded team, players all from the Premier League, from the Serie A coming in, and I think USA might take the edge over the rest of the two. Iran finishing second for me, and Wales not getting a single win. I think this might go awfully wrong for Wales, or they might be the dark horses as well, because I feel like each of these groups has a dark horse that can come in and change things around, as we saw in 2014 with Costa Rica, in 2018. As well, we saw another team do that as well. But Group C, Messi and Argentina. I think there is no other way of saying this. This has to be first, and it's Messi, man. It's Messi. Everyone wants Messi to win the World Cup. If you don't want Messi to win the World Cup, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because realistically, everyone wants Messi to win it, and it's the perfect chance for him. And Mexico have a good shout as well. This is one group where anything can happen, and if Argentina don't figure out how to correctly approach this group, that they could be the ones heading out of the World Cup early as well. Because Mexico with Ochoa in goal, they've got Raul Jimenez as well, who's come back, Alvarez as well. That's who's got a strong. He's going to be strong in midfield as well. So Mexico do have a good few players. Poland obviously with Szczesny and Lewandowski, the two key players for them as well. That could be a bit of a surprise. Saudi Arabia, as much as I like to say I'd love to see Saudi Arabia progress, but I just feel like it's very unrealistic, and I can't go up with that prediction. I'll get hammered on Twitter if I try and predict Saudi Arabia to go anywhere above fourth place finish in this World Cup. But for me, I think Mexico might just edge Poland, even though Poland has had a few good games in Europe in qualifying as well. They look strong in the Nations League as well. A few good wins, but I think Mexico just tops them because I feel like Mexico and USA had a tough battle in the CONCACAF qualifying. So and a few other teams as well along with that. So Mexico does top it for me in terms of against Poland and Saudi Arabia. Which would complete that group as well. But Argentina, I think, has to finish first, and if they don't, then it'll be a bit of a surprise because they're coming into this into this World Cup one of the favorites after that. Lionel being the coach and Lionel Messi being one of the stars for the World Cup, and I think a lot of hope and a lot of pressure relies on Argentina. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And Group D, honestly, in my opinion, is a bit of a weird one because you've got someone like France who can turn things around and qualify first, but at the same time, I'm trying to think of the World Cup curse. I mean, Germany couldn't beat it, Italy couldn't beat it in 2006. I think it was after the 2000 when they won the 2006 World Cup. Spain couldn't beat it in 2010 when they came back in 2014. So it has been something that has worked, and they have issues in midfield with Pogba, Kante not being there. And as much as they like to cover it up with Tchouaméni and their youngsters that they've got, but I just feel like in the World Cup you need a lot of experience, and they lack that in midfield, which could be an issue. But with looking at the group, I feel like Denmark and France, either one of them can top it. I might just go France, Denmark as my qualifying two, and Tunisia and Australia. I mean, yes, it doesn't matter, but I feel like Australia might get a point against Tunisia, or Australia might get a draw against either of France and Denmark, and then win against Tunisia, putting them third, and then Denmark can get a win and a draw or something to qualify. It's going to be a bit confusing in this one because, if I'm not wrong, all of these teams are in good FIFA rankings as well. So it's going to be a tough one to see what happens in Group D when they meet each other. But in Group E, which is also another very strong group, Japan, Germany, Costa Rica, and Spain. So you've got two World Cup champions, one surprising element from 2014, and then Japan as well. So they did knock out, didn't Japan knock out? Who did that? I can't remember exactly what happened, but yeah, I think Japan might also be. See, this is where it's gonna get quite confusing because you've got Japan could take away a win here. They've got a few good players as well. They looked strong in qualifying in Asia. They beat quite a lot of teams in their groups. So, but I feel like Germany has this one's the reason I don't want to say I can't decide between where these two would finish is because Germany's got a good squad, but they're just missing that X factor, that element to win games. And Spain has a very young squad. Ramos is in there. De Gea is in there. Kepa, I don't think was selected either. Cucurella as well wasn't selected. So Aspi was the only one that was selected that I can kind of think of. Pedri, obviously, being there as a youngster. So they've got a lot of young talent that they might want to use. But I think Germany might be able to edge it over Spain and go through Costa Rica with a third place and then Japan in the fourth. It's very unlucky that Costa Rica and Japan get drawn into a group with Spain and Germany, because if they are in any other group, I feel like in the Argentinian group or in the English group here in Group B, they might be able to edge over a qualification ahead of USA or either of the two teams that remain in this one. But yeah, Group F, for me, seems clear to me. I think Belgium has to top it, and Croatia has to come second. Morocco, Canada, for me, they've qualified. Canada have qualified after a very long time, so not expecting much from it. Alphonso Davies, obviously the star man for Canada, but you can't get far in the World Cup with a one man team. In Morocco with Hakim Ziyech, Chelsea, but again, not expecting a lot from them as well. And Croatia with Mateo Kovacic. So a lot of Chelsea players, not I say a lot of Chelsea players, but just two. Belgium's going to have De Bruyne, Hazard. I think, look, I can't remember if Lukaku's in there or not, but you know, when De Bruyne and Hazard in their team, you can never write them off. So they might cause some damage in there as well. And they might even go unbeaten in the group stage, because I feel like Belgium's got the quality to beat all three of these teams and then take away a top spot there. I mean, Group G, Brazil has to be first for me. Such a strong attacking side. Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, Neymar. You've got Rafinha as well. You've got so many players in defense. When you've got Thiago Silva, the man is unbeatable. Alisson and Ederson. Imagine your second goalkeeper being Ederson when Alisson's there, or Alisson being your second goalkeeper. The depth in goalkeeping that they have is insane for this World Cup. So they've got no excuses in defense or in attack. The only place that they might struggle in is midfield, but I feel like Brazil's just the kind of team that you expect some magical football or some skillful football to get through that. And Cameroon being a team that they haven't won a single game in the World Cup in a very long time. I can't remember, maybe 8 years, 10 years, something like that. Switzerland as well. They've got a good strong side. So this one's going to be a tough one to predict, because I think with these three teams, because of how close they are in terms of their depth in squad and their ability to change games, I feel like anything can happen. And I think Cameroon might be able to add. This is a tough one, because Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon. Okay. I think I might give it to Switzerland. I think Switzerland goes through. Cameroon gets a win or maybe a draw against Serbia, putting them bottom of the table. But I think Cameroon might achieve something, but not enough to push them above Switzerland. And with Zakaria being at Switzerland, that guy. I mean, a lot of people have been calling me out for some Zakaria props. So I'm gonna continue with that and put Switzerland in Group G and qualify in there. But Group H as well, strong group. This one's going to be an interesting one. Luis Suarez playing against Ghana again after that 2010 controversy in the quarterfinals. It was, I think, quarterfinals that this happened with their handball and the red card. But I think it's very clear for me. Portugal has to top it. Maybe Uruguay I might give Uruguay the top spot here. And the reason I say that is they've got a lot of senior players in Godin going in, Cavani, Suarez, but with a lot of youngsters as well. Darwin Nunez as well who's going. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do their squad rotation and who they use for each matches. But I think Uruguay, Portugal, that's a clear go ahead from me, in my opinion, at least. And then what would it be for Ghana and Korea? I feel like Korea might be if Heung Son does go uninjured and he does play the games, then he might be able to get a result against Ghana and then a draw maybe against Portugal, and putting them above Ghana in that list. But in terms of the round of 16, well, I know I'm going to predict this right now, and I'll do another prediction when the round of 16 actually kicks off, or when we know the teams for round of 16. And I just feel like if I had to pick someone, I mean, this one's pretty clear. Netherlands for me, very strong. Once again, they've got Depay, Van Dijk, Louis van Gaal's doing wonders at Netherlands right now. So I'm just going to give it to them. Argentina as well, obviously. There's no doubt about that. Even though Denmark are a strong team, their Euros campaign was incredible. And if it weren't for England doing that England match being such a tough match for them, I think they would have gone all the way. Maybe not have won it against Italy, or maybe they would have won it against Italy if it did come down to penalties. But I think Denmark do deserve credit for for this, but I just feel like Argentina, with everything riding on Messi and the team, they'll put everything onto this game to make sure they get into the quarterfinals. But Germany, Croatia is going to be a good one. Kai Havertz versus Mateo Kovacic. Honestly, can't decide on this one. I think they got Mandzukic, they've got Mandzukic as well. They've got Modric as well, so they're going to have a good squad. Germany, Gnabry, Muller. I feel like Germany's got the depth, because at this stage you need a little bit of depth in your team, and you want that to happen. And Brazil and Portugal. Ooh, that is going to be a tough one. That is going to be a very tough one to predict right now, because try and zoom out a little bit so everyone can see it properly. But that is going to be a tough group to predict, this one here, because ooh, wow, this is a tough one to think about. What's happening with the screen? All right. Brazil and Portugal. Well, I mean, Brazil's got the depth, and Portugal's got Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Luis Diaz, Cancelo. So it's not like they don't have Patricio in goal as well. So it's not like they don't have a stacked squad, and they've got the potential. But I just feel like Brazil's got the edge because of the amount of attackers they've got, the amount of players they've got. That can get them through the game. I feel like this is going to go down to penalties, and then if it does go down, I feel like Brazil might be able to do it. Or I don't know. I feel I should have just put Portugal. I should have gotten Portugal to finish first, and then they should have just gone to the other side against Switzerland over here. But yeah, it's fine. It's not bad. It's not bad. England, Senegal. I think England clearly. They've got great depth. They've got a good squad. I will say Gareth Southgate has picked a good squad, but he just has been missing out on a few players. I think Tomori was a no-brainer. Tammy Abraham as well, for me, was a no-brainer. Not because they're ex-Chelsea players or there's a bit of a bias, which there might be, but at the end of the day, their two players have been incredible for their respective teams in Serie A as well. So there is little or no doubt that they were going to be selected, but which was very surprising that they weren't at the time. And obviously with Reece James and Ben Chilwell not being selected is a bit of a scary situation for them, with Trent Alexander-Arnold being at right back. But for me, I think they do go through against Senegal. I feel like even if Sadio Mane's fit, Koulibaly, Mendy, they can't. I don't think they can defeat a England squad in that sense. But for me, France and Mexico. France has to be a clear one. Yes, I know I said their midfield lacks in the World Cup curse. Look, the thing is, if the World Cup curse happens, there's a bonus team that's going to go through into the round of 16. Mexico might go one go ahead if that team finishes first. But for me, France gets it over Mexico because of the experience that France has and the potential France has. And I know there's rumors about Zidane taking over once this World Cup's over, and because there's issues within the squad. But I feel like with Benzema being there as well, Tchouameni in midfield, obviously they're missing out on Fofana, Kante, Pogba, and Nkunku has been injured as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Belgium, Spain. It's a very equal matched quarterfinal, around a 16 actually, because you've got two teams who got a bunch of youngsters coming in, but also Belgium have got the experience. But I just feel like Spain with Luis Enrique has to go through. Luis Enrique, we know how he's how ruthless he is, so he's going to try and do something that gets him through. But that's going to be one that I'm going to be looking forward to as well. But Uruguay, Switzerland, I think Switzerland, you've done well to come into the round of 16, but Uruguay just edges it over because of how good they've been. And in terms of going into the quarterfinals of the World Cup, well, it isn't going to get easier anymore, with Netherlands and Argentina, a repeat of the 2014 semifinals. I think Argentina gets it ahead again. I feel like there will be a little bit of a bias. I'm not going to lie. For those of you watching, if you haven't got it already, yes, I am a big Messi fan. So there is going to be a bit of a bias when I predict those Argentina games. But this one, I'm calling this one to be a 1-0, maybe type of game where Argentina keep the possession or Netherlands keep the possession, but Argentina get that one goal and stick to their defenses. But Germany, Brazil. So we've got two games that are going to be a repeat of the 2014 one. I think that semi-final, Germany, Brazil as well, which is going to be another great watch if that happens. And I think this time I feel like Brazil will take their revenge. Brazil will set up a semi-final against Argentina. They have to do that. Brazil go through for me, with the options they have and the squad that they have beats Germany, because Germany, yes, they're a good squad, but they just haven't been in form. There's some issues in the squad as well with a few of the players not being fully ready for the World Cup and not being fully prepped for the World Cup. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in that one. And England and France, ooh, that is one game that you would love to watch, because France are a very attacking side. England, obviously, five at the back, and if it were for to Gareth Southgate, he'd play 11 center backs and defenders to try and win that game. But I think France, this is where England's road ends in the World Cup, and France go through for me as well, because I think, I know I'm contradicting myself here a little bit, because I know I said France might get knocked out quite early in the World Cup, but for me, if they're going to go through, they're going to go out all the way, because they're not going to make it easy for anyone else to play the World Cup. So just think they should be able to do it. And in terms of Spain and Uruguay, I think Spain goes through. Uruguay, they have a good squad. They have a good squad in terms of good individual players, but they just don't have a full set 11 or a great team to try and beat someone like Spain, who've got quite a balanced squad with players in each position and backups as well. So that'll be very interesting to see as well. But Argentina, Brazil, the South American derby, if you want to call it, this might be an interesting one, because Copa America, Argentina won against Brazil in that one. So can Brazil take the revenge? But then Spain and France here, a European versus a I guess a South American semi-final battle. But Argentina, Brazil. My heart says Argentina because of Messi. My brain says Brazil because of the depth they have. And in a semi-final, both teams walk in with emotions. It's not like one team wants it more than the other. Both teams want to win every single loose ball. It's try and score with every single chance they get. But I'm saying Argentina on penalties. I think Brazil or Argentina. It'll go down to penalties. And I'm going to pick a score, but it's going to be impossible to do that. But it's going to go down to penalties. But it's just about whoever can hold the nerve and go through. But for me, Argentina might be able to do it again, and they might be able to go through into the final, setting it up this time with Spain or France. Spain or France. Look, I think I'm going to have to go Spain. I'm going to have to go Spain. And the reason I say that is the reason I say that is because I feel like Spain might be able to win a 1-0 game, and they might be able to overcome France if they can hold off Mbappe and Benzema. If those two guys can be pocketed by Spain, then we're talking about great semi-final match, and then in the end, one of the two winning. But right at the end, you have to. This is going to be a tough one to predict as well. But this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a very, very tough one indeed. But for me, Argentina and Spain. If you're in the final, it's a one-off game. You can't really predict much, and it could go either ways. But looking at how dominant I've been with Argentina and how badly I want Argentina to win it, I think I'm going to stick with this just to give you a bit of indication of what my predictions are for the World Cup. But yeah, for me, I think this is very clear. I'm just going to quickly highlight that as well. Just save it just in case if I might get it right. I might get it right. This is the proof, even though I've got a video here. But I think Argentina wins it for me. This World Cup has got Messi's name written on it, and this is his chance. I feel like this is perfectly poised for him to on the 18th of December walk out of Lusail Stadium with that World Cup and say, well, I'm no longer one of the greatest players of all time. I am the greatest. And he's achieved everything in football. And I think a lot of fans have this debate between Ronaldo, Messi, Pele, Maradona, and who's the greatest, because one's won the World Cup, one's gotten 7 Ballon d'Ors or whatnot. But in the end, if you win the World Cup, you are one of the greatest players. But imagine being Lionel Messi, who's won everything in football and more, and then wins the World Cup right at the end. So it'll be a perfect curtain to his Argentinian career, winning two international trophies towards the end of his career with Argentina, especially after everything that's happened to him throughout his Argentinian career. And for someone who's been so successful in club football, and for them to not have a international trophy would be a question that a lot of fans or a lot of people would always have on their minds. But Argentina for me tops it, and I feel like Portugal might have a chance. And a lot of those Ronaldo fans, they do have a chance. And the reason I say that is if they manage to beat Uruguay and they go into the second tier of the bracket, I feel like if Portugal finish second, it's game over for them, because they're either going to be matched with Brazil, Germany, Argentina, Netherlands. So these are really strong teams on this end of the spectrum. But then if they manage to stick a tie against Switzerland, and if they beat Uruguay, then this could look a little bit different, where Portugal could end up in the semifinals at least, against France, or maybe even in the final Argentina. Who knows? If you want World War III, you get Argentina and Ronaldo to play a final, and each of them scores a 90-minute penalty to take it penalties before we were never able to decide a trophy, and then it's a draw for both of them, and both of them go home with a World Cup each or something like that. If we're gonna imagine it, might as well imagine some random stuff. But yeah, I think Argentina wins it for me. There is a higher chance of Argentina not winning it than winning it right now, because every predictor in the world has says Argentina needs to win it. So if everyone's saying it, who am I to deny it? And Argentina, honestly, with Messi being there, I'd love to see him score that winning goal or that winning penalty or whatever it is in the final, and just look at the crowd once the 90 minutes whistle goes and think, well, I've just done it all, just achieved everything, just achieved everything that a child dreams of when they're growing up and they want to play football. So yeah, it is something that's going to be really, really nice to see. And I'm really hoping that this whole negativity around the Qatar World Cup really goes away as well when it all kicks off, because every country has their flaws. Every country has their issues when they host World Cups and stuff like that. And honestly, I just feel like Qatar being a country who's gotten the chance to host it, and the last thing they want to hear is all this going around as well. So I think let's respect the fact that they have their own culture, they have their own laws, I guess, if you want to call it that, and they have their own kind of system. So let's respect that, because every country who's ever hosted a World Cup has had issues before the World Cup, after the World Cup. But it's not like you can stop them from playing in it, you can stop them from hosting in it, because it's a football is a game about playing against each other, but at the end of the day, having that sportsmanship and having that respect for each other when you're playing them. So and it's about having fun at the end of the day. So yeah, let's end it on that note. Yeah, and that's my predictions, and I'll be very happy to hear your guys' predictions in the comments below. I'm really excited to see what you guys can come up with on this prediction list, and it'll be very interesting to see what you guys bring up, because I feel like there will be a lot of combinations of the round of 16 quarterfinals and semi-finals. But in the finals, I feel like everyone's going to have either Argentina, Brazil, Germany, or Portugal, France, Spain. Like, these would be the 6 teams that I feel like have to make the final. If Italy were there, they might have been thrown into the mix. Maybe they're pretty good at winning tournaments or going a run of games, but they just haven't been that great to qualify. So yeah, that's my predictions. Argentina for me wins it at the end against Spain, and unless Portugal do make it out of the group stage in first place and go through to the final, then it's a different conversation. But yeah, for me, that's my predictions. Let us know what your predictions are in the comments below. Make sure to comment what they are. I keep saying the same thing again and again because I'm trying to think what I want to say next. But subscribe, leave a like rating, subscribe, and follow us on all of our audio platforms as well to support us and get the algorithm to push us up and increase our rankings, because that's what matters. But no, thank you guys for all the support and all the love that you give us, and on all of our social media pages as well. On Instagram specifically, like the amount of likes we get on posts and the amount of followers we've been growing this year is incredible to see, and really means a lot when we're working so hard behind the scenes. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Then stay safe.